I think I'm live. If someone would let me know in the comments whether or not you can see me. I've obviously still not quite moved to my semifinal place. While I'm waiting to get notification, uh, many of you may not know who Ross Ulbricht is. If you know, you know. If you don't, I used to run with that libertarian crowd. And, anyway, um, I just got the news that President Trump has just commuted the sentence of Ross Ulbricht. And not only is it just commuted, but it was a full pardon. And Jacksomus Junior 96, hi. I assume that means you can hear me. Okay, well, I'm going to keep going. Allie, hello. Colonel Workus something evening. Kathy, hey. Sierra Larson, hello, everybody. Colin Hackett, hi Caleb. I want to go live with you visiting from Seattle. I'm not. I don't. Maybe someday, but I'm not. I'm not prepared to do that with people I don't know. Anyway, thanks y'all for tuning in. I really don't even know why I'm doing this, other than the fact I just wanted to tell somebody. Um, I don't know how many of you. Let me know in the comments if you were even familiar with Ross Ulbricht and his story. And for those that don't know, I'm not an expert on it, but I'll briefly tell the story as I remember it. I don't claim to be an expert. I don't know Ross personally. I have spoken to his mother on the phone. It was an honor to get to speak to her about 7 or 8 years ago, right before I got custody of Blaine. I chatted with her a little bit, but Ross Ulbricht, I reckon he's about 38 or 40 now. He's a little bit younger than me, but he's been in prison. He just started his 11th year in prison. And I'll tell you how he got there. Way back in the day, and I know everybody goes to on this channel, or a lot of people they go to sleep and I start talking about Bitcoin. So this isn't about Bitcoin, but Bitcoin kind of ties into it. Well, it directly ties into it. Many moons ago, when this weird internet money called Bitcoin first came about in 2009, within just a few years, it had gone from a few pennies to a few dollars to a few $100 per Bitcoin. And there was this young man, a bright young man, who had a dream. He had a vision of people being able to exchange goods and services anonymously using this internet money. That's what they called it back then. He formed what is now known as the Silk Road, and it was named after the ancient Silk Road back in the Roman era times, where the road that would connect, Asia to Europe. Anyway, back then it was revolutionary. It was unheard of. It was just so wild because nobody understood Bitcoin and wallets. And long story short, what wound up happening, there were items and services that were at the time, some still are, but at the time deemed illegal. And there was a big arrest, and he had accumulated like 200,000 Bitcoin, which coincidentally is the same 200,000 roughly. Again, I'm off on a little bit of dates and maybe off on a little bit of numbers, but I'm speaking in generalities. The current Bitcoin holdings within the United States came from Ross Ulbricht's company, the Silk Road. FBI raided it. It was confiscated. When he was arrested, we were all like, what in the world's going on? Um, there were some things, you could buy and sell a bicycle or babysitting, and obviously there were drugs and other awful things that did happen. But basically, what it boiled down to was he was blamed for the bad things. There were, I don't know the words I can say, unaliving for hire. There were things that were going on like that. And it gets really deep, and there's been a movie made about it, although I don't think it was very good. There's been lots of really good documentaries, people that are really in the know that really understand it. If you want to go check it, I highly recommend it because this just got the attention of well, not just, but the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, just gave him a full pardon. When he was arrested, there were a lot of bad actors, and many of whom were in the FBI. Many of these FBI, or not many, several of these FBI agents and other agents actually stole some of the Bitcoin that they were there to arrest him for, and they pocketed it themselves. Some of these agents actually served prison and were already have been released years ago. And this is all public knowledge. This isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is all public knowledge. You can go look all this up. I just don't know any of their names. But Ross himself, when he was arrested and sentenced, it was a rig. The whole thing was rigged, and we were all screaming from the rooftops back then. It's rigged. It's rigged. This is not right. In a nutshell, he was convicted of running a website, and that's it. As a first-time offender and a nonviolent offender. And the argument for people who hate Ross and think justice was served, they're going to say he was involved with, offing someone for hire, and he was the dread Private Roberts, and it was all proven to be BS. It'd be like arresting Sam Walton because some jackass went down aisle 5 and mugged a lady. It was literally that ridiculous. But his sentence is what was the most ridiculous part. His sentence was he was, keep in mind, a first time offender, a nonviolent offender. The man had never been in trouble, he'd never been arrested. He was just a man, a young, bright man with some bright ideas. He saw this new thing called Bitcoin. Back then, I don't even know if, I guess Amazon was, it was around, but it wasn't as big as it is today. Uh, Everything was moving towards the internet, and he just made a different type of platform that exchanged a different type of currency. He was sentenced to 2 life sentences plus 40 years without the possibility of parole. He was basically handed a death sentence. And like I said, he just started a few months ago I believe his 12th year in prison. He's had, I don't know if he had access to Twitter. I don't know if he had his own phone or if his mother, Lynn, and friends and family would go see him and he would talk to him. But his mother, Lynn, and this is the part that hit me the most. This is the part that hit my heart the most. His mother, Lynn, is a saint. And I'm almost going to get a little emotional just talking about it. And I'm not trying to make this about myself, but I can't help it. This hit me hard because it's no big secret. I'm very hard on the behavior of people, and particularly women. I've been accused of being a misogynist, I don't know how many times, and I'm not. But all this stuff with Ross went down right before and as my own world was falling apart. And Lynn Ulbricht, Ross's mother, since day one, has been a warrior and an advocate, screaming from the mountain, from the rooftops, to anybody who would listen, explaining what really happened, because he was smeared by every media figure you can imagine. I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you hate Donald Trump or love Donald Trump. I've been a big critic of Donald Trump, but I'm a critic of all politicians except for Ron Paul, hence the hat. I'm a Ron Paul guy. I've been a Ron Paul guy for long. So, well, that's how since before Ross, yeah, I guess about 14 years now. That's how I knew about his story. But where was I going with that? I kind of lost my train of thought. Oh, his mother. She would go to these liberty events from, freedom festivals hosted by Republicans. I'm sure she probably went some hosted by Democrats. I don't know if Democrats do that or not. I'm really not sure. But libertarians are big on Freedom Fest. I held one myself. I hosted one myself called Liberty Fest West back in 2011. I had a bunch of the main speakers at the time all there. A lot of them I got to know, and I don't have anything to do with them. One man, however, his name is Jordan Page. He is a personal friend of mine. I mean, we're not close. We don't talk all the time, but if I needed him, I could call him up. But Jordan played there. That's when I first met Jordan. Uh, when you get done here in the community section, I put a song that Jordan put out about 5 months ago called Free Ross. And for those of you, I know most people here have seen, obviously, the Parker movie, but if you watch the follow up called Parker versus the Man, at the very end, I put a collage of all the pictures that we had when we went over the years when they were real little. This was back when all this Ross stuff was going on, and I felt so terrible for Lynn back then. At the end of that of Parker versus the Man is a song by Jordan Page called "The Message of Freedom." I've got it tagged in the bottom. You can download it or whatever. But anyway, I just found out. I didn't know that Jordan put this Free Ross video out. It was like 5 months ago. It was right as Donald Trump campaigned on freeing Ross Ulbricht on day one. Those were his words. I've been a little aggravated the last 24 plus 7 hours, last 30 something hours, because the full 24 hours went by, and I'm kind of a punctual guy when it comes to this stuff. I was like, Donald Trump, you kind of made me mad with all the COVID stuff back then, and I've been pretty bitter about that. But I watched the man campaign on it. He went to the Libertarian Party. That's like going into the lion's den. He was not very welcome there because libertarians they're split. They're fiscally conservative and socially liberal, generally. As of late, I have pretty much dissociated myself with all libertarian groups and the party for sure, and all the anarchists. I've distanced myself because I did get to know a bunch of them, and a bunch of them are a bunch of scumbags. And no, and I'm not afraid to tell it to any of their faces. There are some good people, though, like Jordan Page. He is one of the good ones for sure, and his wife Mary. Anyways, keep getting off topic, but Donald Trump ran on the campaign, and we all know how politicians are. I promise to do this if you elect me. Well, I promise to do this if you elect me. And I'm polished and I've never done anything wrong. And we're all so sick of hearing it, or I am. I don't know about y'all, but I'm just sick of these polished politicians. Again, I don't care what your politics are. I don't care if you're liberal or conservative or libertarian or anarchist. I've kind of meddled in all of them. I was raised a Republican. When all this crap went down, I thought that I don't fit in with these people. They're the ones that jailed me and jailed Blaine and stole Parker from me. So I got away from them. That's when I found the libertarians. I thought, well, okay, well, I like their philosophy. And their philosophy I do like. It's the preachers I don't like. There's an old saying by, I believe it was Mahatma Gandhi, said, I like your Christ, but I don't like your Christians. And what he meant by that, I think, was people who espouse certain ideals, they get, I don't know, preachy, and they figure out a way, like much the way I'm doing, holding my phone. I don't normally, like, if you were to sit next to me, I don't talk directly like this, but these preachers of religion and preachers of anarchism and libertarianism and even republicanism for that matter, they talk a certain way, and I just got sick of them, so I left all of them. But anyway, he ran on the promise to free Ross Ulbricht. And everyone's like, "Ugh, really? Come on, dude. You're a Republican." In fact, I don't know if you'll know this, Donald Trump he was mostly a Democrat, a New York Democrat his whole life. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that politics, but he ran on the promise to free Ross Ulbricht. And we're like, really, dude? I doubt it. Well, sure as shit, he was a little late, but come to find out, a friend of mine messaged me and told me she was with Lynn when she was on the phone with the president, which is just kind of badass. And I'll I don't have it in front of me, but basically Donald Trump put out a press release on his Truth Social, and basically said, I just got off the phone with the mother of Ross Ulbricht, and I've arranged a full pardon, 100%. He's going to have a completely expunged record or whatever you call it. And he basically said something to the effect of the same scumbags, and he used the word scum or scumbags, the same scumbags that were involved in persecuting me went after Ross and gave him a nonviolent first time offender a sentence of 2 life sentences plus 40 years. Ridiculous. You don't know how he types his tweets out. He's just said scumbags and then ridiculous. And so apparently when he was on the phone with Lynn, and again, I'm not trying to gossip. I don't know. I wasn't there firsthand. I just happened to know somebody that knows Lynn that was there. There was apparently trying to get someone out of high security lockdown prison like that, even if you are the president of the United States, it takes a little time. So Donald Trump missed the mark by just a little bit when he said on day one. And that's when I was getting a little aggravated because, I mean, can you really blame me or any of you getting frustrated with politicians not fulfilling their promises? But as much of a critic of Donald Trump as I've been, and I will continue to criticize policies or things that he does because everybody should be held, especially elected officials, should be held to account. If not, you get tyranny. You get what this whole country's turned into. We all know, just look around. It sucks. We all know it sucks. I love being an American. I've been really bitter about being American. I've been angry about it because of what it's turned into, but I'm going to back off a lot on Donald Trump. I'm still, a little irritated about what happened with, the COVID stuff, all the lockdowns. It caused me a lot of additional heartache that I'm not going to get into. But the man is a man of his word. And though obviously he and I have differences, just like you and your spouse, or you and your best friend, or you and whoever, your neighbor, your coworker have differences of opinion, differences of, policy. I support the man, and I'm so happy that he just finally said what needed to be said. He called them scumbags, and he said it was ridiculous. And when I got the news, like I've been on the phone constantly. I barely slept. I've been on the phone constantly checking whitehouse.gov, whitehouse.gov. Yesterday, I watched all 48 of the executive orders that Trump signed. I was watching them, I was scanning them, reading through them. Is this it? Is this it? Is this it? And it never came through. And then last night, about 10 o'clock, they just stopped. I was like, what the hell? And I waited all day and at whitehouse.gov, refresh, refresh, refresh. Nothing, nothing. I'm texting people. Have you heard anything? Have you heard anything? Posting on my Facebook. Tag me if you hear anything about Ross. I just want to know, and I want to know, I want to know. Well, my friend Cassie texted me and she sent the screenshot, and I broke down crying. I hadn't cried in years. And I don't know why it hit me so hard, other than all that crap went down with Ross, and I felt so bad for him right before, or right as my own shit with my own family was falling apart. And I've always wished that I would have done better as a man and chosen better as a young man. I wished I would have been more disciplined and chosen a better person, a better mate, somebody that I was suitable, I was compatible with. I've said that for years. I wished I would have chosen someone I was compatible with to make 4 children with instead of the one I did. And I'm not saying I wish my kids weren't, never born. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying me getting jailed for being a good dad, Blaine getting jailed over and over, and Parker getting stolen from me, and all the bullshit that my kids and I have had to suffer because of the system supporting their mother on every turn. All that was going down after, or right as and after what happened with Ross went down. And I was watching Lynn go to all these different states and all these, whether she agreed with everything any of them said or not, she got out and she talked about her son. She preached like Christ preached. She was just adamant. This is the truth. This is what happened. He's not claiming that, he didn't do anything wrong. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't think it was anything wrong personally, but he was convicted of it. It was technically illegal, but the punishment did not fit the crime, is the main point that I believe she was trying to drive home. And I've always admired her for that. Like, I've just always thought the world of her for that. And again, I'm saying this because I know I've been very, very critical of politicians. I've just been an angry son of a bitch for a long time. And I've come across as, especially if you happen to follow me on my Facebook, I come across sometimes as misogynistic, and I see why people would say that because I'm very harsh. I don't have a filter. I'm very blunt. A lot of my stuff, it is humor, and I make jokes about things, but I also criticize men as well because they deserve it a lot of the time. But I get called a misogynist, and I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm obviously not a misogynist. I don't hate women. I've been aggravated at some women, particularly that were, I was involved with myself. But when I got the news that what Lynn had fought so hard for, because I know that feeling, and my kids weren't even, I mean, yeah, Blaine was jailed a few times when he was 13. It was hard, but I'm not trying to. I can't imagine what Lynn was going through. Ross was in his, I don't know, mid 20s when he went into prison, hard prison, and now he's in his mid 30s. And I've just always felt so terrible for her. I was like, I put myself in her shoes. I can't imagine what it must have felt like going to bed every night, going to sleep. Like, do you feel guilty about? And I know this feeling. I would feel if the like when Blaine was in jail, I was home relaxing in my chair and I felt guilty, like I wasn't even there, but I felt like I should be doing something else. Watching Lynn do what she did was part of my motivation. She was part of my inspiration to just. I know I got a little unorthodox by holding this damn phone in front of people that were fucking with my kids all the time, but I didn't know what else to do because I kept losing. And to watch Lynn, after all these years, to get a presidential pardon for her son after 12 years of agony, thinking this whole time he was going to die in prison. And now he's a free man. I don't know if he's walked out of the gates yet, but Donald Trump has signed the paperwork and he's published it. And when the man speaks, it happens. And again, I don't care what you think of Donald Trump. Again, I've been a critic myself. I think we should criticize politicians. We've got to keep them in check. But when somebody does the right thing, 'cause he didn't have to do this. I mean, how many times did we all watch politicians? I promise to do this, and they get in office and they don't do shit what they said they do, and they get reelected. I don't know why, but they do. So he didn't have to do this and go through. Apparently, it's a big pain in the ass, even if you are the president of the United States, to get the word of the guards and all the paperwork and all the crap you got to go through, hoops you got to jump through to get him out. He didn't have to do it, and the man did it. The man did it, and this is such a happy day for me. Again, I don't care what you think. I don't care if you hate Donald Trump. If you hate me for complimenting Donald Trump, that's fine. Just unsubscribe and leave. I don't care. Like, I really don't. I'm not saying he's the great. I'm not saying he's Jesus Christ. I'm just saying the man did something right. He did the honorable right thing, and that's just something you just don't see from politicians these days. You just don't see that. Almost never. I feel so much better getting that off my chest that I'm going to read some of y'all's comments. James Lasine, what's up from South Louisiana? Are you freezing down there? Nicole Crone, best notorious dad around. Thank you, Nicole. So God made a farmer pimp. Shane F. Straight cult vibes here. Okay. I don't know what that means. You'll have to expand. Kathy, I believe this is only the beginning of some of the common sense things he's going to do. I can't help but think you're right, Kathy. I've never put much faith into politicians after all I've been through, but it just feels nice to at least have a little bit of freaking hope. I'm right there with you. Fubar 27, 1989. You're a hell of a dad from Canada. Thank you, Fubar. I don't know if Fubar, I don't know if you know where your name came from. I assume you probably do, but if not, I don't know your age or the young people. There's a movie called Tango and Cash. Just Google Fubar Tango and Cash, and just a classic line. James Lasine, LMAO, yeah, man, it's all good though. Also, my last name's pronounced Lasane. Okay, Lasane. Sarah McDonald, what is up from Canada? Got a few Canadians here. Um, I think the the Gulf. I also said the Gulf of Mexico. Weirdly enough, Donald Trump changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. It's freezing down on the Gulf of America. I can only imagine how cold it is in Canada. I'm here in western Wyoming, and it's about minus 23 this morning. I woke up. Colin Hackett, I'm dealing with an anniversary that happened to me from my asshole stepmom of mine. I'm sorry to hear that. James Lasine, you've told me how to pronounce that, and I'm screwing it up. I'm gonna call it Lasane. Just saying without saying sounding the wrong way. I'm sorry. Kathy, he won me when he said we now only have two genders. Isn't it plain insanity that something this bizarre even need to be a thing? Yes, Kathy, I assume you've got to be. I'm assuming, obviously, I don't know. Back in my day, I'm 47. That just never was. Everybody just knew that. That's like there's two genders. That's like saying that way is up and that way is down, and nobody argued with it. It'd be the equivalent of people getting to battles because I pointed and said that's up. No, it's not. You're a misogynist and you're a racist because you said that way's up. That's so heavily hot. On me for a bullshit reason and led me to a depression. James Lasane, I'm a Trump supporter too, by the way. Fatify, I'm from Canada. I'm watching with my friend Nantuck. We are staying warm in our hiding from polar bears and living and fly. Oh, from hiding from polar bears and flying hockey pucks. That is the most cliched Canadian post ever. I hope. Speaking of asshole politicians, I don't mind saying so, but I'm so happy for Canada. Your douche canoe prime minister, what's his name? Justin Castro, Fidel Castro's illegitimate son, stepping down. Nice. Well done. I'm glad he's gone. Hey, what's up, Tori? I don't think the preemptive pardons are going to hold any weight, and that makes them look more suspicious. Oh, from Joe Biden? I saw you post some of that. I haven't had time to watch those debates. I honestly, I just don't pay attention to what Biden does most of the time. He's just off staring into space, but I hope not. I honestly hope Trump just does Trumpy things and just goes ballistic on them all. Sarah McDonald, it's cold in Canada. It's minus 10. It feels like 18. Nice. Sarah, I've been running every day. It ranges between minus 15 to 20, uh, up to about 10, 15 degrees here lately in western Wyoming. And I've been running every single day. And my goodness, it just feels so nice on my lungs. Nicole Crone, the wise words of Jordan Page. It's the message of freedom, and it really is. I wished I knew how to tag that. When this over and the video uploads, Nicole Crone, if you'll put that in there, I would love to pin your comment. That is Jordan's song, "The Message of Freedom," is one of my very favorite songs. That's why I included it in the Parker movie. I mean, Parker versus the Man. Terry S., it always will be the Gulf of Mexico where I live. That's fine. I don't know where you live, but I don't blame you because, people can change names all the time. We all call whoever we want, whatever we want, or areas we want. Like Parker's, I've always just called him PK or P. Kelly. His name's Parker, and I call him PK. So, yeah, good. I don't blame you. I don't think anybody really cares. But Ignite, are you going to get a low taper fade? Are you talking like a haircut? I don't know what that means. Amos Batista, I'm worried. What do you worry about, Amos? Colin Ackett, all the stuff happened on September 28, 2022, the day after my birthday, known as September 27th. Ended on February 12th, and happier now. Good. Here in Seattle, Washington. Kathy, the governor of Canada. Yeah, that was funny. Sarah McDonald, Justin Trudeau. I know that was a joke. I don't know if y'all have ever heard that rumor and gone down that rabbit hole. I love conspiracy theories and rabbit holes, but the rumor is, and I wouldn't normally talk about rumors on private individuals or nice people, but Justin Trudeau is a complete and total douchebag. What he did to all those truckers back in the day, whenever they were protesting and shutting their phones down and shutting their bank, debanking them, I just don't like the man. Well, the rumor is, and you can see it in his face, that he is the bastard child of Fidel Castro. And there's documentaries made about this where his mother was documented have as being in Cuba back in the day. At the time, he would have needed been conceived. It's hilarious. So I don't. It doesn't really. I don't really care if his name's Trudeau, if he's really a Trudeau or a Castro. I'm just glad he's gone. It's Fatify. Yeah, out with Trudeau, in with Pierre Poilievre. I never know how to pronounce his name because I'm not. I believe that's French. Forgive my ignorance. Pierre. Everyone just calls him Pierre. Polivier. I don't know a lot about him, but I did see that Pierre guy give a speech about Bitcoin, and I'm a Bitcoin guy. I'm a crypto guy. That's just what I've chosen as my second line of work since I'm no longer in the oil field. So, and I've known about it, crypto since or Bitcoin since inception, since the white papers came out in 2009. So it's not that I'm just into it as a gambling fad, though I do gamble, I guess you call it, with a lot of the altcoins, but I do believe it is the hardest money known to man. I truly believe I have studied it and I'm not an expert on it, but Pierre is a Bitcoin guy. Coincidentally, Donald Mother Trump is a Bitcoin guy. It's about to go nuclear. It's Fatify. He's going to take away our igloo rights. Okay, Maddie, hi. Big Tito, Canada 2. Sashu, it's 11 degrees here. Nice. Terry S., it's not mine or anyone else's business what I don't even know if I can say that name, transmission gender does with their lives. It's not mine either. I just don't want it pushed in my face, and I don't want them reading to my kids in school. I can't imagine why anyone would want to read in school. I've got nothing against people who want to live alternative lifestyles. There's an old country singer. Yeah, I don't for the old schoolers that might remember me talking about Sade, my English friend, girlfriend, whatever she was at the time. She introduced me to someone named Roxy. It was a drag queen that sang country music and amazing music. No problem with it. They did what they did. I've never had a problem with that. I just don't. James also been following your content for a little while now. I should probably also mention I got some family in Odessa, Texas. Oh, but yeah, I hope all's good on your end. It's much better. Hopefully, knock on wood, I'll never, ever, ever return to Odessa, Texas ever again. That's my hope. Colin Aggett, I want to check out Vancouver, Canada one day. I'd love to see Vancouver. Maybe once Trudeau's gone and I get my passport. And I'm thinking about, oh, I got a ticket today here in Podunk, Wyoming, and it kind of pissed me off because the cop had the audacity to ask me if I'd been drinking. I'm not going to tell the story, but it did. The other deputy, he and I got along fine. He's a young kid, but the older guy, I kind of chewed his ass a little bit. Um, I just don't like. It just pissed me off. So, that being said, I may have to. I don't know if I need my passport or if I can get by with a driver's license. I may be traveling to Alaska. Is there anyone from Alaska here that watches me that would have any recommendations? I know it is. I've never been there. It is cold. It's just the way I like it. It is depopulated and it is big, and I like it. Charles Haynes, how are you doing? What did I miss? Hello, Charles. They will be live in a minute, but basically, I've just been going, hello, Dannon. I've just been telling my story about Ross Ulbricht. I don't know him personally, but how I've always admired his mother. And he just got freed by the president, the stroke of a pen of President Trump himself. And I just think it's amazing. Fubar 2789, 36 years old this coming January 29th, moved to live with my dad in my teens. And it was honestly the best thing that could have happened to me, but my parents both knew it needed to happen. Well done. Terry S., I'm in Central Florida. Terry, I bet you had to put your jacket on. I was in Central Florida. I don't know which part you're in, but I was in Okeechobee. And I looked on the weather map. Northern Florida got snow, like snow. What's up, DSD Dwayne? Hey, Caleb, that I didn't realize. Wait, Caleb, that I didn't realize he did with for Ross. Glad you posted it. Oh yeah, Trump. Yeah, hopefully they get him out soon. I think I think he's out. Like if he's not walked out of the prison doors, it'll be just any minute. When they release me from jail, they released me at midnight, and it's out in the boonies, and if you didn't have a ride, you just had to walk. But he'll have an on Ross will have an entourage there. But if he's not already out, he's out of the cell, and they're getting his crap, and they're getting him out. Sashu, the Gulf of China. Oh, I'm loving these Trump memes. They are amazing. The funniest one I've seen regarding the Gulf of Mexico name being changed to the Gulf of America was somebody made a map that said Lake Melania. I'm going to start. Whoever said earlier, I'm going to always call it the Gulf of Mexico. Good for you. But I'm going to call it Lake Melania because that was just freaking hilarious. Colin Hackett, I might visit Casper, Wyoming, May 24th, 2025, but just a stop on my way to St. Louis. I've driven through Casper. I don't know much about it. Kind of flat, not my favorite place. Tori McFarland, his mom was in a love affair with Fidel. See, Tori knows. Sarah McDonald, I agree with you. He is a jerk to everyone. Justin Castro. Yeah, a friend of mine is a I know him from the libertarian circles. He's covered Ross from way back in the day. He's a lot younger than even Ross. He's Canadian, and he did a not a ambush journalism, but sort of kinda. His name's Josh Sigurdson. Y'all can find him on Twitter. Wham World Alternative Media. If you find him, ask him about his interaction. I met him for I don't like we've been Facebook friends for forever, but I did get to meet him at a Freedom Festival a few years ago, and he told me the story about how he busted Trudeau's ass with an interview, and then somehow he got pushed to the side, and I don't know. He's just I've heard people that know have ever met him, in real life, say he's a dick. Sashu Cho is a handsome though. Yeah, apparently Melania thought it first. There's memes going around about that, but I don't care. There's lots of good looking people that are total douchebags. David, who cares about Canada? Um, there's some good people up there, David. I mean, that's just are. There's douchebags here too. There's douchebags everywhere, but there's some good people everywhere. We're just all being run by a bunch of effing tyrants. Kathy, have a good night, everyone. Good night, Kathy. Raphael, free. I don't even know if I can say that word. Well, you know what? Trump just said that they can't turn it away, and I will just say it. Free Palestine. $10 says this video gets demonetized, but I don't even care. I hope something is actually done. I don't have a lot of faith that it will get done, but who knows? I didn't think Ross Ulbricht was going to get out either. So I'm full support of just peace. That's another thing I like that Donald Trump campaigned on. I don't know if he means it. He's on a roll right now. I mean it. He goes, I want to be known as what he say, the peacemaker. I want to be known as the man who brought peace. And I don't know how anybody can argue with that. That's just what I want. Just chill, peace. Uh, Colin Aggett, I'm going to St. Louis, Missouri to see St. Louis Cardinals game. Okay. Terry S. F and Ken Paxton. Okay, Terry, you have been around a while. Poor Paxton. I think he met whenever Trump appointed what's her name, Pam Bondi, that blonde bombshell from Florida as the attorney general. I could only imagine poor Ken Paxton just made little sad Ken Paxton noises when Donald Trump didn't pick him. Nathan Bell, a massive fan. Caleb from Australia, you made me go for joint custody of my kids and get it. Badass, dude. Well done. I know y'all are deal. I've got some Facebook friends that live in Australia, and man, y'all have some tyrants. Y'all got to find some way to push back and just get rowdy. I've seen documentaries of how some of the what we'd call cowboys here. That y'all can get some y'all can get fucking western, and I think y'all need to get western on some of them. Transgender. Terry, what are you talking about, Terry? James Lassane. It's 22 here in my end. Eli Hilton. Hi, how are you? Doing well. I'm doing really well for a change. It's nice to get some good news. Colin, I get my last trip to Texas was Laredo, Texas. Man, I don't care for Texas either. Yeah, that's way down south. It's hot and dry and flat and ugly. James Lassane, the thing is, my mom grew up in Midland. Oh, okay. But she moved to Lafayette, Louisiana in the 80s. I've got some friends in Lafayette, Louisiana. Hello, Dannon. They keep saying it'll snow here in my area of Louisiana. Get my hopes up. No snow to be seen, though. You must be a little bit further north, I think. I think for some reason it got the south, like it was snowing on the beach. I was looking at they're showing palm trees with snow on them. Sarah McDonald, no, I'm in Ontario. Okay. I have to be first to admit, I get confused on which, I don't know, what do y'all call them, states or provinces? I forget Ontario. I don't know my way around Canada. I've never been there. Teach baby English. Bring and keep your cars. Cars are expensive up there. Oh, in Alaska? Oh, okay. Well, good to know. I wouldn't go up there without four-wheel drive. So, Terry, yes, I have a liberal friend in Alaska. I've heard there's some commies up there. Eric Wagner, what was he put in jail for? Ross Ulbricht, he was put in prison, federal prison, served 2 life sentence plus 40 years for he was convicted of running a website. That's not the technical term, but that's what he's convicted of. And it was a website called the Silk Road. A few years ago, there was a movie made about it, but it was real slanted and biased. I didn't even bother watching it because I I read some reviews and I know some people that know the Ulbrichts, and just they say I heard it was crap, and so I'm sure it's professionally made, but the storyline, it'll be interesting when Ross gets out and gets his greases his bearings and levels out and decompresses, going through all the social media and watching the movie made about him. It'll be interesting. I just can't wait to see interviews with Ross. I can't. I hope I'm fortunate enough to get to meet the man myself. I'm sorry, who's Ross? Charles Haynes. He is Ross Ulbricht. He's the founder of the Silk Road website back in the day that they traded goods and services online using Bitcoin. Back when even Donald Trump himself was saying that Bitcoin was trash and he didn't like it, he liked the US dollar. Back then, Donald Trump was quoted in his first presidency as saying he's not a supporter of Bitcoin. He basically dismissively answered the reporter's a question. Now he's seen the light and he's all about it. So that's how he got the pardon. Colin, I love the cold, especially when I lived in Seattle. Now living in Indianapolis. It's Fatify, Alaska, and Alberta are the Arctic version of Texas. Oh, okay. Brooklyn Calthorpe. Hi, Caleb. Sorry I'm late. I was just talking to my cousin about what it's like for me to have autism and anxiety. All right. Well, I still haven't gotten formally diagnosed myself. I've watched a few autism. There's a, I think it's called Autism Speaks, a YouTube channel. I think it's what it's called. And there's a dude that runs the channel who is autistic. I have watched a little bit of that. Apparently, it's okay if we diagnose ourselves. I think I am a little autistic myself. Northern Light, did you watch the inauguration? I did. I did. I was disappointed he didn't mention Ross at the time and didn't mention Bitcoin, but he said a lot of good stuff, and I just hope he meant it. And so far, he's kicking ass. I mean, when he's solved more problems on his first day and before he even took office than it seems like anything got solved in the last 20 years. Tori McFarland, there's a town in Alaska that you can drive through a tunnel that is actually train tracks also. What would that be? The only towns I know of are Juneau and Nome and Anchorage. I don't know very many towns. I've looked on Wiki and find out a little bit about it. I think I want to go. There's a peninsula. There's a YouTube channel of a couple that they built this A-frame house. They lived on one of the southern peninsulas. It looks beautiful, and that's as long as it's not too close to. I don't want to be in Anchorage. The I think it's Anchorage that's the big town, like 250, 300,000 people. I know I don't want to be there. I can't stand that many people. Terry, yes, yeah, it's cold in Tampa. I bet it is. That one trippy hippie, Caleb. I watched your video from a couple of years ago with Parker and how he stood up for himself. Hope you guys are doing great. We're doing well. I'm really thankful. Usually Dannon's, or maybe she's been deleting them. I'm thankful there. I don't get a lot of how's Parker questions because, for in case you're new, I don't talk about that much. But other than say he's doing great. What was he in jail for? Eric Wagner. Well, this will be posted as soon as I get off here. He was jailed for running a website called the Silk Road. Uh, Melanomia, Terry. What in the world are you talking about? Potty 2112. I enjoy your stream while pooping. It gets things flowing. I'm so glad I could help. You owe me $10 for having to read that. TJ UK. Fun fact, Trump wears diapers. You think so? He might. He's 78. But he's even if you don't like the guy, you gotta admit there's no denying he's at least cognizant. And he was up all during the inauguration. He was at the ball. He's got he's got stamina, so maybe he does wear diapers. Wait, Trump just freed Ross who? Bubba Mitchell. Ross Ulbricht, the founder and runner of the Silk Road back in the day. Matt 17 says Trump, James Lassane, if it makes you feel better, I'm not a fan of Texas either. I'm a go like to see family and all that, but otherwise, no, I'm good. Yeah, I won't go. Bubba Mitchell, I get the pardoning because it's been a long time ago and it was political even after Trump said, don't do it. Um, I don't know that he was asked directly about Ross back in the day. I think he kind of shit on Julian Assange back then, but I don't know if he was directly asked about Ross or not. I'm not sure. Colin Eckert, have you seen a Netflix show called Unbelievable with Caitlin Deaver? Um, I have not. A cool thing about here in San, I have not. Random TikTok compilations. I hear it's snowing in Florida. I hear it is too, but I'm not in Florida. I am in Wyoming, and I guarantee it's snowing here. Well, not there's snow on the ground. It hasn't snowed in like a week. All the snow that fell hasn't melted. But yeah, Florida is getting hammered. Lake Melania has a good ring to it. I'm telling you, Sashu, it's hilarious. I love comedy, and I'm just gonna call it Lake Melania forever because I think it's hilarious. Come on, you've been up to Lafayette, Louisiana, James? Yeah, yeah. Like have you? Lafayette's in between Texas here, Texas, and Florida. I've driven through it. I don't know, a couple dozen times. I mean, I hadn't spent a lot of time there, but I've just been through it. Colin Hackett, have you checked out the Ford Museum in Detroit, Michigan? Lots of cool cars and Mustangs. I visited, drove through. I spent a day in Detroit just because I was touring, but I didn't see much. Um I saw where they filmed the Eminem video, 8 Mile. Bubba Mitchell, I knew people who were born and raised in Alaska, and they were pretty okay people in Cali. Okay. Sashu, what's the difference between jail and prison? Uh, is this a joke or are you wanting to know? Jail is typically run as a box to hold humans that is run by a county. Prison is typically a box made to hold humans run by a state or the federal government. Typically. B079, they traded drugs. So do pharmacies. B079, the difference is that now Trump can personally profit from it. I'm not a anti-capitalist. I like profit. Charles Haynes. Anyway, so my question is, what car do you like? And I like your old Chevy truck from the video a few years back. Um, I'm just a Chevy truck guy. I drive a little Volkswagen at the moment just because I'm broke or I've been broke and I've got all my money in the market. But it gets 30 to 35 miles a gallon and I really don't care. Colin, one day in the future, you should check out Cincinnati. I've driven through it. It's not my favorite place. James Lassane, for real, damn, I'm also on that spectrum. I suspect a lot of us here are. It's Fatify. What do Americans think about Canada and Canadians? Do American citizens hate Canada, or is it only a beef between our politicians? I've I've never had a problem with Canadians. I've always appreciated the humor, especially when I find out there's a lot of A-list actors from Canada that get popular in Hollywood and they make, like, for instance, Ryan Reynolds. I don't like any Ryan Reynolds movies at all. I think he's a terrible actor, except in Deadpool. He is a master class. He nailed that role so good, and he does a lot of Canada jokes, and I've just always found it hilarious. I've got a lot of Facebook friends that I've known for years in various different portions of Canada. There's a place called Prince Edward Island on the eastern side of Canada that I've always wanted to go see since I was a little boy, and it's because, and I'll tell you why. The movie that came out in the 80s, it was a mini series called Anne of Green Gables. And I loved, and I know it sounds gay, but I'm not gay, but I love, and I still love Anne of Green Gables. And it was filmed on Edward Island. It's just, to me, I've always just thought it's so pretty. Dude is current. Yeah, so far, he's done everything he said he's supposed to do on day one. He's done it. This time around, he's kicking ass instead of getting pushback. Yeah, I think some of the pushback he is getting are just the people that are the if you're a Democrat, you always been a Democrat. That's how your parents were. You're just not going to like the guy. I get it. But what's weird is back in the day, like I remember Trump being around when I was a little kid. I remember watching him in Home Alone. I mean, I wasn't even in puberty. I hadn't even hit puberty. He was in Home Alone with Macaulay Culkin, and everybody loved Trump. Like he didn't have any enemies. I remember watching him go on The View, and Whoopi was hugging him, and uh, what's that crazy one's name? The redheaded. Y'all know what I'm talking about on The View. They loved him. Like in 20, I don't know, 14, before he ran for president the first time, 2012, Jesse Jackson loved him. Of course, Dana White still loves him, but all these lefties that now say they hate him, they used to love him. But what's weird is I just saw that Snoop Dogg performed at his inaugural ball this time, and last time he was rapping about F Donald Trump. So I don't know. Snoop, I like Snoop. He'll always have a place in my heart for old school '90s rap, just because he was such a pioneer. But he kind of got screwball, and I don't. He seems to take too many pay. I'm all about making money, but he just seems he'll say whatever he want. Well, like a politician, and maybe that's what Trump's doing too. He just seems to flip flop too much. Bubba Mitchell, you're a Trump supporter, Caleb? I am now. He freed Ross Ulbricht. So, yes, to answer your question, without hesitation, yes, I am a Trump supporter. That doesn't mean anything he ever does or ever has done that I fully endorse anything he's ever done. Doesn't mean that at all. If in the future he does something terrible that is horrible, I'm going to call it out. But that's just who I am. If my own kids do something stupid, they get backhanded, and I tell them that was the dumbest thing I've ever heard you say or do in my life. You don't get a pass just because you're whoever you are. But overall, yes, I'm a Trump supporter now. I wasn't, but and I didn't ever hate the guy. I've talked about it in my old podcast. I never have hated the guy. I got aggravated how he handled COVID's and Operation Warp Speed. I just didn't like it. I didn't like it. I still don't like it. And I'm glad he's even calling out his own BS. He now whether he's blaming others, I have no idea because he's kind of an arrogant guy. He doesn't like to admit he screwed up, but he actually admitted kind of he screwed up on that. So anyway, John Keating 2828. Hey Caleb, used to chat work you on Google Plus. Okay. It's been I've been subscribed since you posted that video of your son standing up for his mom. Okay, thanks. Watched all the crap the state of Texas did to you. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I don't miss Texas. I'm glad I'm gone. I'll never go back because of that. Kathy Marie, yeah, well, it's winter. It's cold. Yep, exactly. People complain about the cold, and that's just what happens. It's winter. It gets cold. Learn to embrace it. I've learned to embrace it. All right, y'all, I'm coming up on an hour. My voice is getting a little scratchy, but this has been a great one. Y'all have just been amazing, and we actually got our numbers up. I think we hit like 130 or 150. I don't normally get that, but anyway, I'll read a few more here. I'll get right up to the 60-second accidental broadcast. This is all leading to a beautiful singularity through division, followed by the pendulum swinging back into the quantum zero point. I think I caught all that. And yes, I hope you're right. Christ consciousness activated. Nice. Yes. It's funny you say pendulum, and I've brought up Jordan Page, my musician friend. He's got a song on that same album of the Message of Freedom on Parker versus the Man called Pendulum, and he talks about that very thing, accidental broadcast. uh, Go check out Pendulum by Jordan Page, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Bubba Mitchell, the Silk Road website was doing what? Trading goods, allowing users to trade goods and services completely anonymously using only Bitcoin. This was back before even Ethereum. That it was the only cryptocurrency there ever was. Austin Stelmach, howdy, Caleb. Your story is heartbreaking, but it shows how brave people are. Thank you, Austin. I really appreciate that. Hello, Parker. Not sure which Parker that is, but hello, Parker. Hello, son. All right, y'all. I've hit the 60-second mark. Golly, I wasn't too far behind. That paranormal crew, Ethan, Charles Haynes, Mr. Goya VR. Hey, Caleb, love you so much. Have an amazing rest of your night. You too, Mr. Goya VR. Trump is Zeus. All right, y'all. Take care. I do appreciate it. Ethan, see ya. Y'all have a good evening. Um, I'm thinking it's probably going to be. I talked to the lady I'm renting from. It'll probably be another month, 3 weeks or so before I get into the other house where I can be able to set up my formal computer and be able to get back the old style where I'm not just, having to hold this dumb thing with my phone. So, anyway, thanks everybody. Enjoyed it. Freed Ross. That apparently Lynn is asking people to start instead of saying free Ross or hashtag freed FRED Ross. So I'm just thank you, President Trump. Thank you very much. It's nice to get a breath of fresh air and someone with that kind of power actually do what they say they're going to do. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Bye.